All right, 7th grade. So, we've been talking about the Middle Ages, time of a lot of fighting, a lot of feuding, these different barbarian kingdoms set up in Western Europe, and the Vikings. We talked about the Vikings last time and how they were just coming down from the north, stealing whatever they wanted, killing whoever they wanted. Okay, they were great warriors, great sailors, and so the people were freaked out. And so that's why we got feudalism, right? The people coming to the lords and saying, hey, protect us with your army. The Lord saying, sure, as long as you're loyal to us, okay? Give us all your loyalty, work for us, okay? We're trading that protection, we're trading that land for loyalty and service. That's feudalism. You guys taught me then about the knights, okay, in your Knightstagram projects, and how the knights came about, the training, the process to become a knight, and what knights were supposed to do, how they protected people. Now we're going to talk about another method of protection, another method of defense in the Middle Ages, and that is castles. So in the Middle Ages, a lot of times the lords and the ladies, the people who own the land, they'd build these beautiful manor houses, right? Beautiful, almost like mansions, right? Very nice. And sometimes they'd be fortified. They'd have nice fences or walls around them. But once the Vikings started coming and making their raids, the people realized they weren't good enough. So they started to build them to be like military-grade fortresses. Walls, bridges, moats, which is like that kind of tube of water that goes around, right? Channel of water. Multiple layers of walls, high towers, drawbridges so you could restrict who could come in, strong gates, very strong towers and inner rooms, dungeons. They started building these fortresses, massive buildings to protect themselves, protect the town from the Vikings and from enemies. These really strong castles, these fortresses, could often be lived in for several months. They held a lot of supplies, and when you would see the enemy coming, everybody from the town would run inside. They'd pull the drawbridge up. They'd close the gate, right? They'd get ready to defend themselves against the attackers. Now, folks, this is kind of a diagram of a castle from the Middle Ages, medieval. We have our strong tower up here, the keep. This is the most fortified, strongest tower. This is where the people are going to hide, especially if the enemy gets past these walls. We've got our walls here with watchtowers so you can see the enemy coming from far away. They've also got little notches or windows that you can shoot arrows out of, okay? Dump boiling hot oil or light things on fire, tar, dump it over the side to try to get it on the enemy soldiers. Right? We've got drawbridges, bridges that we can actually pull up so that people can't cross. A lot of times there'd be moats or water around here, just make it difficult because you can't swim in heavy armor. So the enemy has a choice to make. If they're going to swim across, they got to take the armor off, and then they're susceptible to more attack. If they don't take the armor off, they're going to sink. Okay? So lots of great defenses on our Middle Ages castles, meant to keep people safe. But there are some imposter castles out there. There are some Disney-fied castles. Castles are just meant to look pretty. We're going to talk about those too. Okay? So on the next couple slides, I'm going to show off some castles. Some are true medieval castles meant for war, meant to be attacked and to defend. And then some are Disney. Okay? Some are just meant to look pretty, not actually for war. We're going to try to figure out which is which. All right, so for example, this castle looks very pretty, right? There's no walls to defend it. There's no gate. Okay, there's no drawbridge. There's no moat. So the enemy can just walk right up to the side. There's also another big problem with this one. Lots of windows. Lots of windows. Windows are bad, okay? Because that means the enemy can shoot through, okay? Especially big windows. Little windows are okay. Big windows are bad because it's a big target the enemy can shoot through or try to climb through. The one thing that is nice about this one is it's pretty tall, right? So some good lookout towers. You can see the enemy. But overall, this one is going to be a Disney one. It's going to be a fake one, okay? Not a real castle from the medieval times. All right. Whoops. Let me go back one here. Okay, we got a couple more examples here. All right, this guy right here, we'll bring him up. This is going to be a real Middle Ages castle, okay, from the medieval times. Notice we've got this nice moat to keep the enemy away. Okay, we've got, would have had a drawbridge built here, right, that we could bring up and down. Very tall walls. We've got a keep here in the back. Very strong towers. We can see the enemy coming from a while away. We can shoot from the top of these walls. Okay, the windows, they got windows, but they're small. Small targets for the enemies to try to hit. So that would have been a good castle for the Middle Ages. All right, let's check out our next one. All right, this one, what do we think? Well, we got a moat. That's a good step in the right direction, right? But no walls. No walls, right? This outer wall, that's the only thing. Okay, there's no outer walls. This one, you could walk right up to it. It doesn't look like a drawbridge. It's a bridge, but you can kind of just walk right across. Some of these windows are getting kind of big, looking kind of fancy. I don't know if that's going to keep us safe, okay? Especially these low windows people can climb through. Towers aren't bad, okay? But this one, just a really pretty mansion, pretty house, not a real castle. Okay? Let's see if we can find any real castles in here. Let's see. This one. Wow, this looks like some Frozen, Arendelle, okay? Something from Disney. It is beautiful. It's got some nice tall towers, but again, no outer walls, no moats, too many windows very close to the ground where enemy soldiers can climb in. There's no real keep. If the enemy can kind of get up to the top of this, it's not going to be defended very well. So, too Disney, not real. All right, let's see what else we got here. Now this is a medieval castle. This is from the Middle Ages. Check this out. We've got really strong, tall towers. We've got some windows, but they're very small. It's going to be difficult for an enemy to get in there. It's going to be difficult for them to shoot in there. We've got arrow notches up here, so the archers can stand up at the top, shoot, and then hide behind for protection. Tall walls. Okay, we've got several types of walls. A shorter one here and the bigger ones back here. This is a good castle. This one would be good for war. All right. I don't remember. Let's see if we got a couple more. This one. This one. Okay. This one's kind of a toss-up. Okay, there's some good things about it. Obviously, we got a keep here. Very strong, tall tower. That's good. That's a good sign. We got some good arrow notches. Not too many windows. Windows aren't too big. We can probably defend those. It'd be nice if we had another set of walls, or if this looks like it's probably just a creek or river. It'd be nice if that moat went the whole way around. Okay, but overall decent. Okay, nice tall watchtowers. It's probably a good castle for war. All right, so that's a little bit about what castles were like and what made a good castle, good for war, and maybe what would be a bad castle. What was it like to live in the castles? Well, the castles often came with an estate, came with a manor, lots of land, and the nobles would go hunting and fishing when they weren't at war. They might hold court, be judges. They might have dinner parties. They liked to play games. The game of chess was invented in the Middle Ages. Music, they would have musicians come in and play, people singing songs. Okay, so lots of fun times at the castles as well. The lords and ladies, the rich people, they lived in the castles in the manor, or the king, if it was the king's castle. The noble women would often look out after the castle and the manor and kind of run the show when the men weren't there. The noble ladies would sometimes be married as young as the age of 12, which is very strange to us in our society, especially in American culture. That just seems very strange and weird. But in the Middle Ages, in this Germanic barbarian culture, these kingdoms at the time in the Middle Ages, that's what they did. The bride's family often had to pay a dowry, which was a price. They basically had to pay to have their daughter marry into this family. And they were often political marriages, used to unite important, powerful families. Women often did not have much to say about it. They didn't really have a choice. It wasn't dating like in American culture. It's very different. If a woman was still single by the age of 21, most likely they were going to be single as a Pringle for the rest of their life. This is kind of how the way things were. They did run the castles and the manors when the men were away. Even if it got attacked, they were in charge of the defense, coordinating the troops. They also were charged with raising the children, taking care of their husband, caring for the sick people in the town, making clothing, and training the young girls who lived in the castle. Now, nobles and knights and peasants, they all depended on the land. The manor, the land around the castle, the villages, okay, the farms, they made everything that they needed. Okay, they had to be self-sufficient. There's too much fighting, so there's not a lot of trading going on in the Middle Ages. The manors often were set up like this. So you got our castle in the center where the lords and the nobles live. We've got our fields, okay, for farming and for animals. We've got our village where our peasants live. We've got a couple shops. We've got a church. Okay. So that's what it would have looked like. And like I said, they made everything they needed. They had to be self-sufficient. There's too much fighting that there's not great transportation, and they're not really trading. There's too many enemies around. It's not safe. All right. I think we covered most of that. Folks, just for the sake of time, I am going to post another video about your next project. Okay, your next project, you're going to be designing and trying to sell your own castle and the land that comes with it, the manor. So stay tuned for the next video, and then if you have questions, send me an email. Thanks, folks.